On to Andrew's horror education.
Oh my god.
It's an education-heavy episode this week.
Yeah. That's got to have a better name.
Well,
Are we calling it Annihilation?
Andrewlation?
That sounds like a sexual act.
Annihilation. Annihilation. I don't know. I don't think I can make that one work.
I do feel like we could wedge these words together.
No. Andrew's Annihilation.
Sure.
That sounds pretty sexual as well.
Fucking awful.
Yeah, so this week Andy's also watched Annihilation, if you couldn't tell from that tortured opening. This is why we need jingles.
Yeah. We need
Yeah.
jingles and better names for things.
If you have any good better names for us,
Oh, for fuck's sake, no.
So Annihilation, which is one of my favourite films the last couple of years. For those who haven't seen, this is Alex Garland's second directorial film, which is about there's this strange sort of field called the Shimmer, as in it's sort of this area of land in the US that's been taken over by this strange sort of physical phenomena, and every sort of group that goes in doesn't really return. If they do, they sort of don't last very long, and no one knows what's really going on in there. And so this team is sent in. I think in the book it's the 12th expedition. I can't remember if they state in the film actually, but they send in this group to see what's going on, and things are pretty fucky.
So you've read the book, have you?
I have read the book, yeah. Well, I started because my for a bit of context, my screenplay that I wrote at uni was based heavily on Annihilation to some degree, so I did read the book in preparation.
So, I mean, we could do a fundamental as well if there is much of a difference.
There's definitely. I'm not sure if it's fundamental as such. Like, it's not like a one small change or anything. I mean, to be honest, basically, the film is, I would say, mainly loosely adapted. Like, obviously, the general concept and the characters and the setting are all the same, and the lighthouse is in it. But otherwise, like, the plots of it are completely and utterly different.
Okay.
So, but I mean, depending how far you can stretch the definition of fundamentals, I can talk about it.
Well, okay, well, let's talk about the film. It's got Natalie Portman is the main lady.
Yeah.
Called Lena. She's a biologist.
She is a biologist, yep.
And her husband is a soldier, played by Jason? What's his name?
Jason Isaacs?
Yes.
No, wait. Who is it? I do know him.
Oscar
Isaac. That was it. I knew it was an
Isaac. I don't know where
Isaac.
I got Jason from.
Well, there is a Jason Isaacs, but it's not. It's like I know it's an Isaac because it's Oscar Isaac, who's also in Ex Machina, which is one of the other Alex Garland films. Which have you seen?
Nope.
You've got to watch Ex Machina. It's great.
Okay.
Back to Annihilation.
He went into obviously it was really secret, and he was missing for 12 months, presumed dead, MIA as they say. Or KIA?
Well, I mean, I suppose
Whatever.
MIA, if I don't know he's been killed for sure, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
And Natalie Portman's obviously very sad, and she's mourning him, and she doesn't have any friends, and she works at university and whatever. And then he turns up at her, just inside the house.
Yeah.
And when she's asking him these questions, he hasn't got any idea. Like,
yeah, he has no memory really of what happened, or like barely even who he is.
Where were you stationed? What did you do? How long were you there for? Blah blah blah. He's always like, I don't know. And then he has starts bleeding everywhere and has organ failure. And
it's just that great shot where he just takes the drink of water and puts it down. And you see that tiny drop of blood just spread inside. He just goes, I don't feel right. And it's like, I love that scene.
Cut to the ambulance. And then the ambulance gets pulled over by 3 helicopters and a convoy of black SUVs, and a load of armed soldiers get out, and then they take them to a facility which is right next to the Shimmer and all that, and that we go from there. So they're putting together a team of scientists who all happen to be female,
Yeah.
which I don't think is significant at all.
I think can't remember if I'm making this up or not, but I think in the book, because it's like we've only sent men in so far and they don't return. Let's try women. I think is the idea behind it.
Okay, because there was like they hinted sort of vaguely at that,
Yeah,
but other than that, it
I
was
think
like,
it's something like that.
right.
But basically because they have everyone they send in, they literally just get no information back. So like, well, I don't know, we'll just try changing it. We'll try and work out what it is.
Yeah,
It's sort of I think that's certainly in the book. I think that's what they say.
but basically, the shimmer is growing, and they have no idea what's causing it or how to stop it, and they can't do anything about it. They can't look into it because everything gets destroyed. No one will come out, or if they have, they get all fucked up and can't remember anything. Question mark. Spooky, whatever. So they send them in. Natalie Portman's like, well, I'm going in because I've got to find out what happened.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to know. And they go in, and everything's a bit fucky, as Nick said.
Yeah. I mean, I could elaborate further, but I think Annihilation's is so much more powerful. Just watch and see for yourself.
Yeah.
To describe it just partially won't do it justice, and partially will just sort of spoil some of the just the fantastic imagery and atmosphere in that film.
There is some amazing imagery. There is some incredible imagery, actually.
Yeah.
Like, what I do love, and you did say I would love this before this reason, is that it's so Lovecraftian.
Absolutely. Like I said, apparently it was at least somewhat inspired by Color Out of Space.
Yeah,
having read that, I can now see that.
100%. Yeah, 100% see that.
Especially there's this slight purple tint to like the shimmer as well. Like how the the Color Out of Space is just purple, which I still love.
I do. Yeah, I can see the very, very strong Lovecraftian themes throughout. But there is one scene in particular where it is just so good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can we spoil it? This is a spoiler-free review, I guess.
Well, I mean, don't stop Lawrence Arabia being spoiler-tastic. But
that's true.
See,
but then this whole episode is going to be spoiler-full.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because to talk about Annihilation in any like real detail and appreciate it, we do probably have to spoil it.
Well,
but okay.
Here we go then.
If anyone here hasn't seen Annihilation, just stop now. Go have a listen. Go have a watch Annihilation. It's fantastic. And then come back and we'll discuss some more spoilery things. So there's your warning right now on YouTube and Spotify. Go to YouTube and copy the time codes. I don't know. We need a better system. I don't know. Anyway, right.
Right. Anyway, moving on. So the scene with the bear,
yes,
is my favourite bit so far. Like, my God, so good. But also the bit in the swimming, like where the swimming pool where they find the footage. That bit is also really, really good.
Yeah.
Some of the imagery in the whole film is just amazing.
Yeah, what I like about it, as I was saying to you earlier, was that it's probably one of the best on-screen like sort of depictions of like the undescribable rendered visually.
Yeah,
like that's a big thing about Lovecraft is like besides like Cthulhu, which he describes quite a lot. Like most of his creatures are like I can't describe it because I'd go insane to do it. Like it's sort of beyond human comprehension, description, and geometry. And Annihilation sort of somehow managed to achieve that kind of design. Like in particular the first form of the alien at the end, which I can really only describe as like a sort of a pulsing ball of light, but that doesn't even do it remotely justice for just how bizarre and formless it looks.
But it's so perfect as well, like perfect in the way that like describing the undescribable, because it's so hard to then describe, then isn't it? Like how do you describe that? It's like this ball of light that's writhing and rippling with these weird shapes and colours, and it just looks it's such an amazing depiction of an alien, because in every other thing aliens have physical form and they they're bipedal
or in some way like they look sort of human shaped because that's sort of what we expect them to look like.
Whereas in this it's just this fourth dimensional indescribable thing that is amazing. I think it was just such a you're right, like that's such a good depiction of it.
But then the great thing is it then becomes humanoid, but it's strange because it's completely expressionless, it's devoid of detail even. There's like this perfect like sort of copy of like the human form, and all it does
Yeah.
is just simply mimic Lena's actions. And like it's
Yeah.
it's we don't even know if the alien's benign or if it's got any intent at all. But as far as I can tell, it's just curious. It's just sort of trying to understand its environment just by
Yeah.
copying what it sees. And I love that simple innocence somehow makes it even more terrifying. The way it sort of
Yeah,
just
it's so
appears and moves.
menacing, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think it's the fact because it's unknowable because there's no expression. It's basically uncanny valley, I guess, because it looks human, but with no way to tell what it's thinking or what it's feeling, and it just
Yeah.
feels intensely uncomfortable. Plus, the score helps. I really love the score. It's
The
certainly
score
like
is very, very good.
yeah.
So this movie is really like was very poorly received.
Yeah.
And I think there was some problems with the cinema release as well, wasn't there?
Yeah. So the
when it
story
did
is
come out.
basically they completed saying like the first cut or one of the like last cuts of the film, a cut of it, and Fox, who I think it was Fox, either Fox or Paramount who distributed it. I need to double check that, though. Basically, the producer looked at it and was like, "This is too weird. Mainstream audiences aren't going to like it. It's not going to do well at cinemas. We don't want to distribute it anymore in cinemas." So then Netflix sort of, but no, they were like, "We will distribute it if you basically change and make it less weird and more mainstream and acceptable." And Alex Garland and his producer were like, "No, this is the film we want to tell," which I respect so much. I love you, Alex Garland.
Yeah.
Please marry me. But yeah, so having done that, basically they lost most of the distribution rights in the US for theaters. So Netflix came in and was like, "We'll distribute internationally and we'll try and get you some theater run." So it had like a very limited theatrical run in America, and over here was all digital, all Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. It's weird that, just complete aside here, it's weird that how important they think running a movie in America is for some reason, even though it's such a tiny margin of their profits. It's like distribution and rights in America is really important when it's actually just not that important considering, you know.
It's just a small percentage of your earnings. Because there's a thing we talked about at uni a lot. It's called like the long tail, which is like it's if you basically plot the financial, I guess, achievement of a film on a graph. There's like this spike of it where it gets like its initial box office run, and then it sort of trails off. And the idea is nowadays with streaming and home media is to not worry too much about the box office initially, but to make sure it's got a longevity in people, and that's how it makes more money in the long run.
Yeah.
And I think that's increasing a much more important thing. Like I think it's increasingly the initial cinema run isn't that important as long as the film's got the longevity to withstand the test of time and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think Annihilation encapsulates quite well. Like, oh yeah, maybe audiences won't get it in the theatre or whatever, but like by holding on to its integrity as well as what it's trying to do and holding that uniqueness, it will guarantee people will come back to it for years because there's like nothing else like it.
Yeah, that is true. It's really it's good.
Yeah, it's definitely it's not perfect. Like
No.
well, it's interesting because I've tried to reconcile this on a couple. I've watched it I think at least twice now, maybe 3 times actually. But like the first couple of times I watched it, I was sort of like it felt sort of emotionally distant and cold, and I felt I felt it kind of like difficult to get really into like the characters and stuff. But on reflection, I felt that's part of it. Like it's so sort of hostile in like, every part of its atmosphere, and I feel like that's part of its sort of its feel to be that kind of like like emotionally cold. I don't know. What do you think?
I think actually now you mention that you've got a point there, like because I didn't love any of the characters. Like Lena's okay, like she's a serviceable main character, but you don't love her. You know, when she's in mortal peril, I'm like, I hope she gets out of it, but if she doesn't, you know, whatever. But it's the same like the rest of her team. So there's what 5 of them?
4.
4?
Yeah.
No, there's 5.
No.
Yeah, there's 5, Nick.
There's 4 in the book.
Well, there's 5 in the film.
Wait, name them.
So,
you call yourself a fan of Annihilation? Name one of the characters.
Because there's Tessa Thompson, she's in it.
Yeah.
Ventress.
Oh no, there is 5. Yeah, sorry, don't worry.
Yeah.
I just
Gina Rodriguez and Shepard, and then Natalie Portman. That's 5. I like how I named a couple of characters and then some actresses.
Well, but that's the point, isn't it? What were the characters' names? Unlike, say, an Alien.
I remember Lena, Ventress, and Shepard.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Like an Alien, you know, you've got Dallas, Brett, Ripley, Parker, Lambert, Kane, Ash. That's all 7. You know. And like, you know, Alien, which is always like the go-to example for like horror and characterization. You know, we know all those characters, we care for them, they feel convincing, and we want to like we care for them emotionally. But I
Yeah.
think there is a coldness in Annihilation where you don't get that same, you don't get feel for the characters on that same level. There, so that like, have you seen anything by Nicholas Winding Refn? Like, you haven't seen Drive yet, have you?
No.
No, okay. Because going to compare it, there's like Alex Garland, and he did this a bit in Devs recently as well, although I don't know. But basically, there's this thing with like their characters are quite sort of, there's something cold about the way they deliver dialogue and the way they act. There's something almost like, not robotic as such, but there's definitely sort of lacking some kind of warmth. And I think it must be stylistic, because I see a lot of it happening. And with Annihilation, it kind of works because it's got that sort of, again, like that hostile atmosphere to it. I sort of
Well, I was gonna say like her team, like Lena's team, like, so the 5 characters. There's no one. If we compare this to Alien, then there's no one who's really lovable, and there's no one who you hate. You know, even Gina Rodriguez, who goes crazy and sort of stabs them in the back. Even she, I didn't hate her. I was like, that's just some good character development.
Yeah.
You never hate any of the characters. Even Ventress, who is always really cold and annoying and like heartless. You know, you don't hate her either. Again, it's just character. Whereas, you know, in Alien, like you love the 2 maintenance guys because they're funny and they're like, you know, cool, and you hate fucking Bilbo Baggins because he's a knobhead.
What? Bilbo?
Bilbo. Who? Bilbo Baggins.
What are you on about?
Bilbo Baggins is in the film. Is
in
it
Alien?
Yes.
What?
I can't remember his name. The guy. Ash is Ian Holm, and Ian Holm plays Bilbo Baggins.
Martin Well, wait, in which version? Oh, wait, you mean
Lord of the Rings, you did.
Oh, is that Ian Holm? I didn't believe that.
That is Ian Holm. It's Bilbo Baggins.
Well, sorry, when you say Bilbo Baggins, I'm thinking of Martin Freeman. What?
No.
Oh, what an aggressive way to learn some trivia. Andy, you screaming at me, Bilbo Baggins from Alien is not helpful. None of them are called Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins is in Alien.
I literally named the characters like 5 minutes ago.
But you didn't mention Bilbo Baggins, so you lost me.
Sorry, I'll recount it. It's Brett Parker, Dallas, Ripley, Kane, Bilbo Baggins, and Lambert.
Anyway, back to my point.
Yeah.
But you like, you like Ripley, and you like Dallas because he's like the cool captain. You don't like Ash because he's like, the corporate nerd who's being a dickhead about everything.
Yeah, and he's all very cold and sort of,
And Lambert's really annoying because all she does is scream.
Yeah, and slap Ripley.
Yeah. Whereas in Annihilation, they don't fall into those sort of things. You know, one of them isn't the funny one, and one of them isn't like, the annoying one or the sassy one, and you don't hate one of them. You know, normally in these things is a team member who you hate, who is supposed to be an antagonist.
Yeah, which is sort of Ventress, or at least in the book it's supposed to be Ventress. In the film, like you're right, it's just not really, none of them are developed enough to really develop that kind of, like that distinct characterization or that kind of appeal.
Yeah,
they're all almost interchangeable.
It's sort of given to Gina Rodriguez a bit, but it's never really.
Like a lot of it seems
beyond that.
Their antagonism seems almost like it's situational rather than characterized. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They're just reacting to the situation rather than being like, as this character, I'm reacting like this. It's just more. It's all the more almost sympathetic the way they react. I guess. I don't know. I know what I mean. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, situational. That just makes sense. Yeah. But there is all of the set design is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Like having the flowers, all these different species of flowers coming from one stem is like really cool. Having the humans, flowers, the people made out of flowers.
Yeah,
trees grown into look like people. Like just the plant-based imagery looks amazing.
And I love the in the lighthouse as well. The sort of the weird cavern. I love the weird because it's not like tentacles as such, but it's all these weird
It
sort of like
looks more like roots, doesn't it?
yeah,
than
I guess it must be
anything?
like
made me
roots and
think of-
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it made me think of like tree roots more than tentacles.
that's another thing. Quickly, like because this is like a lot of this film, the horrors, like the imagery and stuff that's sort of happened before. It's like the idea of like we're late to the party and got to figure out what's happened. So we see these like the evidence of previous expeditions, which I think is one of the best
Yes.
images in it. Like there's the in the lighthouse, the it is Oscar Isaac, isn't it? Who?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Been over this.
Yeah. But I was trying to remember if it was him or someone. Yeah, it's been a while since I saw it. But because there's the outline of his like burnt body on the wall and the ashes near it. And I love just
like
that
the charred
image.
corpse.
Like, I mean, we then see the camcorder, which tells and it shows us what happened, which adds to it. But like, also just seeing that image is enough to be like, shit, what happened here?
Yeah.
And also the
But in the swimming pool, they've got like the cut open body that's and his plants have like sprung. Yeah, like that looks amazing.
That's I just love the design on it. It reminds me of something like from The Thing, just the way this complete deformation of the human form. Like I'm a sucker for body horror, and this film like really ticks that box. Just the things they do to a human in that.
Yeah. There was some really, really cool stuff in there. I can see why people don't like it because it is hard to not hard to engage with, but it's hard to feel emotionally engaged with.
Yeah, and I think
because
also
all the characters are so I don't know unfeeling, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be sound snooty to say, but like I feel like most in a way Fox or Paramount, whoever it was sort of right in that I think if you've not watched much weird sci-fi and horror, this will probably be like, what the hell is this? Like I'm not sure how well this would do with like the mainstream. But I love this because I'm into like things like Akira and like Midsummer, like the weirder side of like sci-fi and horror, and like again like body horror and stuff. So I don't know.
But the reason I really like it is because it's Lovecraftian in a modern setting.
Yeah,
which I think is quite hard to do. Like the reason Lovecraft is hard to do on film or set in the modern day at least is because we record everything right now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like you have to rely on one person's account of this as story, and then you don't know if they're a reliable narrator or not because they could be fucking mental. Whereas, setting it in the modern day is hard to believe, that's harder to see because you've got recordings everywhere and stuff. But the way they do that, obviously, is it's the shimmer, no one can see in, no one can come out. And you see these people going mad, but also they aren't reliable narrators either because they keep losing their memory. They keep, you don't know if they are sane or not. And it's just done really well. It's done in a way that's very Lovecraftian modern age, and I like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the whole unreliable narrator thing, because in the book is from this perspective, basically they have to keep journals of what they find in the shimmer, and the book is framed as Lena's journal. Okay. And it starts in medias res. We don't know any of the background context. She just wakes up in the shimmer, and it's like, I don't know how long I've been here. I don't know where we are. What's going on? I mean, it's like, and if it gets over all that in the book, you'd like. It, again, there's a strong sense of unreliable narrator because it's literally just like we only have her word for what's going on, and some dodgy things happen in the book. So, but like, that's what you're saying about Lovecraftian things and being like from like one character's account. That's quite you probably quite like the book then, I'd say.
Yeah, I am. Having now seen the film, I do want to read the book.
Yeah. I guess to close this out, then I'll do a quick comparison with the book, like a mini fundamentals. Okay. But like, so in the book, the main thing is about there's this so the lighthouse is there as well, but it sort of comes later and it's not as important. And the alien doesn't really get involved, certainly not in the same way. But instead there's this thing called some people call it the tower, some people call it the tunnel, and there's this big thing about them arguing over what it should be called. It's like a vertical tower that goes into the ground for seemingly an infinite distance down. It reminds me of A7B actually, SCP. But like, but yeah, and so they spend like certainly a good half of the book exploring this tower, just going, trying to see how far down they can go. And there's like all this weird, like, there's this plant life that forms writing on the walls, and it's like this endless poem, and like that seems to make no sense, but it sounds so ominous. And then at the bottom there's some kind of monster which they never see, and and they only see the aftermath of it attacking one of the victims and stuff. But yeah, and then I like so the bear's not in it, for example, either. There's a
Oh yeah,
scene.
so we should talk about that because we didn't mention that.
Oh,
Well,
the bear. Did we not mention the bear?
we sort of briefly mentioned it,
Oh
but
shit, the
that
bear's like the
is,
best scene.
yeah, genuinely is the best scene.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the bear
Let's
quickly.
talk about that. Yeah. So
The bear.
so while they're in the swimming pool place, what I feel like it's not actually a swimming pool, is it? So,
No, it's a fort. It's a
yeah,
fort.
it's a fort.
But there
It
is
happens to have a
swimming
swimming pool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so while they're there,
Is it a fort or like an army base or something?
it's
you know?
yeah, it's some kind of outpost certainly. But so at night they're doing their sort of patrols, and there's this great shot because they're like looking through the like the binoculars, like night vision, and they hear one of the people scream, and they just look over and they see, for like a few frames, you see this large bear-like thing take her into the like the foliage,
Yeah.
and it's so like you can barely even see it, like it's just like a flash kind of thing, and that's great. And it's just like she's gone, and we hear nothing of this bear. We know nothing about. They try and find her. They find like a pack, I think, but she's long gone.
No, they do find her corpse.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Sorry, it's been a while since I saw it.
They find her body and she's like had her throat ripped out and
Yeah.
you know is completely gored and it's gross.
But the great thing is this thing takes her. We barely get a good look at it, and it's gone, and we have no idea what it was or where it went or where it came from, kind of thing. And then later on, it's certainly a good like half hour later, I think, and they're like, Thingy's gone mad.
Rodriguez.
I really don't know. This proves my point. I don't remember the names.
Gina Rodriguez. Yeah.
She's gone mad, and she's got like the other three left tied up, and she's like trying to be like, she thinks one of them's a traitor and stuff like that, and that's what one of them's picking them all off, kind of thing. And then we just hear the character who went missing. You just hear her screaming for help outside, and everything just goes silent, and I love it because there's this great kind of sense of dread. But because we've seen the corpse. We know she's dead. How could she be screaming? But as the same way, the character, because she has this moment of like, she's alive, she must be alive, and runs out. And meanwhile, we're sitting here being like, but she's dead. That can't be her. What's making that noise? And then we hear the scream.
Yeah.
And then we just hear this.
And then the bear comes in. Oh my god.
So this bear has been it's been mutated with Thingy. Whoever went missing, but basically a human. So it's got human features. Shepherd. It's got like human features like melted into its head. It's got this one like human eye that sort of like looks around. It's got like its skull is protruding.
Its skull is coming out of its face. Like it looks just so good. And like the imagery of that is so horrific. Like it looks so good. Like and half its jaw is like hanging off, and it's oh my god.
But the best bit is the sound design. Because every time this bear makes any kind of noise or roar, it's a human vocalization, but it's also presumably the last like human vocalization it heard, which is like help someone help me God kind of thing. So just have this bear like plodding around these like three terrified characters, like occasionally make these like horrified, distorted human screams of help, and it's such good horror. And
it's so good,
and it's so tense as well. It's quite a short scene, really, all things considered, but like it's definitely like the highlight of the film in terms of that. Like that's the horror at its absolute peak, and it's one of my favorite horror scenes in recent memory. Actually, it's so good.
Yeah, it is. It is just top tier. Like, and it's just screaming in their ear, like but breathing, and it's like, will it get them? And then it takes like a full clip of rifle fire into the face to kill it, which is so good.
But I love also there's a reverse shot that's like completely like straight on, no angles in it, of like one of them like looking terrified, and we look back on the bear and it's just staring straight to you at the camera, and we just see the human eye sort of like move a bit and like staring. It's the human eye, because there is this thing about like, because the human eyes are white with the colour bit in the middle, so we can see more clearly where something's looking. Or animals don't really have that in the same way. So there's something inherently freaking about seeing it, knowing it is looking at you, and like it's that one human eye staring out in terror. Because that's the other thing as well. Like talking about, you were saying earlier, like the great thing about the Shimmer is it's not evil. There's no intent behind it. It just is. It just exists.
Yeah,
and things exist inside it.
I love that as well. Like,
yeah, and again, it adds to that threat. It's somehow even more scary. But with the bear as well, because it's the bear's not. Only attacks them out of defense, really, or desperation for food.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. It seems like it's hurt. It's in pain. It doesn't seem like it really wants to attack them. It's just investigating, really. I think there's something about, I think that panic gets portrayed through that eye really well. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love that scene. It's the best scene.
Yeah, that's a really, really good bit. Like, that's just such strong imagery. But yeah, like, I think we should, like, that is really important. Like, that is cosmic horror to a T.
Yeah.
That, the alien, or the shimmer itself, this whole thing isn't evil. It just is. And I love that so much more than, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it is just they're evil people trying to kill people. But the shimmer just exists, and it's just so much more terrifying because it doesn't want anything. Like, in the way the film is, like, it's the scientist, after Lena gets out, presumably the scientist asking her account of what happened. So she's telling them, and right at the end, like, she's finishing her account, and they're like, okay, but what did it want? And she's like, it didn't want anything. It just exists. And it's like, that's, more terrifying than anything, because how do you stop something that doesn't want anything? It's just growing.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to appease it or stop it. It just is and will always be, and there's nothing we can do except just try and avoid it as it takes over our world.
And I love that, because that is more scary than a spooky man with a chainsaw,
Yeah, absolutely. I also, last thing before we finish up, because it's probably gone on for ages, but going back to what I was saying at the beginning of The Glass, because now we're on spoiler corner, I can talk about it. But, so, one of the reasons that shot is one of my favourite shots in the thing is because, the whole thing is about, so the shimmer is basically like, it just diffracts DNA, in the same way like a block of glass would diffract light and scatter it.
Yeah.
The shimmer just diffracts DNA.
I knew. As soon as that it had a close up on the glass, I was like, that is important.
Yep, exactly. And this is visual storytelling. And I love how because there's this theory about, like, the first shot of a film should, like, summarize the film basically. And obviously it's not the first shot, but it's an early shot, and that one shot perfectly exemplifies it. We see, like, his finger, and I think we see his whole body at one point, like, just diffracted in the glass and distorted.
Well, we see Lena and Oscar Isaac holding hands through the glass, and I was like, that is going to be important.
And then again, like, the drop of blood, and we just see the one drop of blood then slowly spread and deteriorate and decay into chaos, through entropy. And, great shot. Great film.
Very, very
and
good.
And that's visual storytelling.